Hey folks, Ricky aka the War Champion is in the building today. Today I've decided to put the joystick down and just so I can have a conversation and discuss my top 10 ranking for annoying enemies in the game of Kingdom Rush Origins. This game was kind of tough for me to rank enemies that were, considered annoying in this game. There are a lot of enemies in this game that have, I feel like this game is pretty challenging because the enemies have a lot of special abilities that make them really annoying, which is one factor into why it's tough to rank the enemies in my opinion, but I did the best I could, and so this is the list that I've come up with. Let us see what it is. Number 10, the Twilight Evoker. Hit point 700, physical attack damage 5 to 15, physical attack rate every second, range attack damage 20 to 30, range attack rate every 2.17 seconds. The armor none, magic resistance high, 75%. Their speed is medium at 1.1. Not sure what variable is used to factor the speed, but I think it's frames per second, or pixels per second, but it's 1.1. Special ability, they have a ranged attack. They also can heal their allies, regenerating their hit points by 80 hit points a second, and they silence advanced tower special abilities for 4 seconds. So this enemy, not all that super powerful, and it might be surprising to be on a top 10 list that I ranked it at, but I feel like, this is an enemy that's kind of overlooked. When you see a Twilight Avenger or Mounted Avenger or Twilight Golem, they might grab your attention more than this Evoker, but it's the fact that it's these little pesky, as I've mentioned before, I said in one of my videos, a small fox can ruin the vine. She's kind of like a small fox. She'll mess things up because she's an overlooked enemy, not all that powerful, and then she's sitting there. It's bad when hordes of them appear and they just keep constantly regenerating the hit points of the enemies, and it's really frustrating. It's bad when they get behind a heretic like they do on Duskwood Outpost consistently. It's bad when they get behind a Twilight Golem, and it's just annoying having to constantly attack troublesome enemies. I feel like the elves, they have quite a few troublesome enemies, and it's bad when you have this enemy still lurking around, walking around the playing field, constantly regenerating the hit points of their brethren by 80 hit points, and it's bad when there's many of them. Also, their ability to silence towers. Let's say if you had an Archdruid Henge and you have your bears, right? If she silenced the towers, you can't move the bears. You can't move them. So she could also potentially mess up your strategy points. Maybe you have an Wild Magnus, and you rely on the special ability of that, or the Archdruid Henge. If she disables the tower, she can really mess up your strategy when you least expect it, and they're just kind of annoying in my opinion, and that's why I have them at number 10. Also, they're kind of tanky with 700, but not super hard to get rid of, but definitely I felt she was worthy to be number 10 on this list. Let's see some clips of her. So this was the Dragon's only attempt at Arcane Quarters. Here you just see at the bottom right, you have multiple ones, constantly just sitting there hacking away with their ranged ability. And then here, I'm trying to kill off the spider, but then you have that annoying enemy just regenerating their hit points and hacking from the outskirts. Here, another example, you're tanking a Twilight Golem, and then there she is sitting there hacking from the outskirts, and she's not the top priority, but she's just constantly regenerating the hit points of the enemy. It's just annoying. And then here's a prime example of her disabling the tower. You see how when she disables the tower, you see I can't move that the bears. That's another ability that makes her annoying and also makes her a kind of a thorn, when you think about it. So that was number 10. Number 9 on my list is the Blood Ogre. Blood Ogre, 1500 hit points, physical attack damage 23 to 30, physical attack rate every 1.5 seconds. They possess no armor. Magic resistance is high at 75%. Their speed is medium at 0.8, which is the bare minimum for an enemy to be considered medium speed. And their special ability is Blood City and Corruption. That's where they're in range of 2 to 5 Null Reavers and Null Burners. They have the potential, they can shift them into Blood Gnolls, which are troublesome enemies. I will tell you already right now, Blood Gnolls are not on my list. They're, in my eyes, more troublesome than they are annoying, in my opinion. And he can activate this special ability every 5 seconds. So this enemy reminds me of the Red Spine from Kingdom Rush Frontiers, in the sense that he's an enemy that you can tend to underestimate. He doesn't have any armor. His attack power is not all that threatening, and it doesn't really, strike. And he attacks also very slowly, and he's very slow moving. So you kind of don't really see him as threatening compared to like the big time enemies like Ogre, Magis, and Ettins and Blood Nose. So he doesn't really strike you as an enemy that grabs your attention compared to them. But one thing, all I know is if he's in range of those null reavers and those null burners, it better grab your attention, because if he shifts them into Blood Nose, you're gonna have a potential of 2 to 5 Blood Nose, extra Blood Nose on the battlefield that are just hard. You know, they're just difficult. They're real troublesome enemies, and it's bad enough when you got an enemy with the special ability to shapeshift them into those types of enemies. Blood Nose. Like I said, Red Spine. You know, similar to Red Spine. You know, he's an underestimated enemy at 1500 hit points. But all I know is it's just for that reason that he has that special ability, and the fact that he's an enemy that you might underestimate and not get on, and as a result you leave him lingering around, loitering around the field. And if he gets in range of those null reavers and null burners, he's gonna cause a lot of trouble and irritate you. So that's why I have him on the list at number 9. Let's see some clips of him. So yeah, and also, by the way, yeah, also see, yeah, there he is. He acts a fool. You got all those Blood Nose. Now you got to use the Shazammer because you left him. Oh, I left him alone. This, but then again, another thing to note about him is that he can't use this special ability while being blocked. So he's that kind of negates him being as annoying, in my opinion. But definitely it's very irritating when you got to consistently keep trying to stop a bunch of Blood Nose. They just create extra work, and it's hard work. It's extra hard work that you have to do. So moving right along, number 8 on my list that I felt was more annoying than the Blood Ogre, the Twilight Harasser. Hit points 325, physical attack damage 25 to 35, physical attack rate every second, ranged attack damage 20 to 30, ranged attack rate for some reason nobody knows. Armor medium is 50%, magic resistance none, speed is fast, ranged ability is with their special ability, ranged volley attack where they fire 4 arrows at your soldiers, and their cooldown for doing that is every 10 seconds. And also they're able to shadow jump, as you can see in the photo. They shadow jump, which also, by the way, can cleanse them from poison from venom vines, like for instance in Rock Hinge with the, I call it the sponge spore. When you push it, it activates poison. Apparently, according to the website, they're able to be cleansed from that poison. So this enemy for sure is a top 10 annoying enemy, in my opinion. They're just irritating. If you, especially early in the game, when you don't have powerful barracks out and you're trying to hold, you know, a couple of Twilight Harassers, first thing they come in the picture, and then they fire off, you know, some archers, which serve their arrows, which serve as their range attack. But then it's irritating when you try to tank them, right? Let's say you're using a hero and you have, like, let's say Durax, right? Durax activates his special ability of that special like blade swipe, but then the harasser will evade it because they'll do the shadow jump and get out of combat and avoid the hit. So they just stick around, and then not only that, they irritate you even more when they let those arrows fly and start attacking you from the outskirts. So all that acrobatics, they don't sit still. They just keep getting in and out of combat, and it's just irritating. If you don't have a lot of towers set up to deal with them, they just keep jumping back and just causing all kinds of chaos, having you to micromanage over and over and over with your hero, and then wait for, hopefully, if you don't feel like micromanaging, you wait for them to come to you, but then by the time they come back to you, the cooldown before they do their backflips, the shadow jump, they'll just do that ranged volley attack. After they do the backflip, they'll do the ranged volley attack and then just do massive damage to your soldiers. And for that reason, they're just real irritating for those reasons, you know. And on impossible mode, they're by the way, their armor steps up from 30% to 50%. So they're just even that more durable, that much harder to get rid of. So that's why I have them number 8 on the list as far as annoying. Let's see some clips of them. So this is the only clip I had of them. I could have put in more, but I just, you know, showed. This is just a perfect example. You're tanking a Twilight Golem. They come in the picture. They start hacking immediately, firing their arrows, and then they're in combat. You see how they do the backflips? They're getting out of combat, using the fire, using that volley attack. It's so irritating. So you know what I got to do? I got to get rid of it. Shazam! I got to get rid of that. I got to get rid of it. They're just, for that reason, they don't sit still. That's why they can seriously get on your nerves. So I'm tanking a golem. It's no fun having to put up with all that, you know, in and out of combat action. So number 7, The Gloomy. Hit points 40, physical attack damage and physical attack rate not applicable. Armor none, magic resistance none, speed is fast, special ability, they're flying, as you can see in the picture. And the most annoying thing is they have the self-duplication. By the way, they're cleansed from poison upon duplicating. So they appear on the stages for Militia, her army, starting from, I believe, oh, it's Grimsburg. Grimsburg is when they first make their pro debut. They were a problem on that one. Definitely a problem. You know, when you use the poison, the main thing for this enemy that makes them the most annoying is their fast self-duplication rate. I believe it's increased on impossible difficulty. I think they duplicate faster. Don't quote me on that, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's true. They have a fast duplication rate. This enemy is just, it's irritating because, you know, when you use the poison, right, the sponge spores are available on all the stages for when they appear on, and even in Rock Hinge, which they don't appear on. But it's irritating when you poison a horde of them, and then one of them you don't kill it off because the poison takes time to do damage over time. But then if they duplicate, then you have a cleansed Gloomy loitering around the battlefield, which is irritating. If you don't have any towers that do aerial assault to hordes of them, like an arcane quarter is the best way to deal with them, in my opinion, because it does that. If you have that special ability, the special upgrade of it doing the magic explosive damage, if you don't have that, you can easily get overwhelmed by these Gloomies, and they force you to have to set up archer towers or some kind of maybe use a hero that can decimate packs of them. And for me, in my opinion, they cause a lot of frustration as far as gameplays, because they just, with that fast duplication rate, they just can overwhelm you in a heartbeat. And for that reason, you know, I find them more annoying than the Twilight Harassers, you know, per se. They're not hard to kill, so that's why I don't think they're the most annoying, but because of that fast duplication rate, it's enough for me to rank them at 7. So let's see some clips. So this was on Sealy Court, the heroic stage. I was attempting a wisdom test here. I went with Vesnin. Now Vesnin's a pretty good hero because he has that area splash, that magic splash damage. But then he only does it temporarily. He said, I don't have the best towers out here to get rid of the Gloomy. So as a result, we get overwhelmed, and you're gonna see it right. We will suffer a defeat because we got overran by those hordes of Gloomies. So that's why I had them number 7 on the list. Moving right along, number 6. Twilight Scourger. Twilight Scourger, hit point 650. Physical attack damage is 15 to 35. Physical attack rate, no one knows. Armor none. Magic resistance high, 80%. Speed is medium, 1.0. Special ability, very similar to the Troll Chieftain. They can boost their allies' speed and their attack damage. The allies' attack damage upon receiving this boost activated by the Scourger, their attack damage is doubled. She can do this every 5 seconds according to the website on impossible difficulty. And then her other abilities upon death, how could we ever forget? Her Banshee disables a single tower for 10 seconds. Sorry about that. It's very annoying to me. Very annoying. Again, because of the fact that she's not a powerful... It's just similar to the Evoker. They're not the super powerful enemies, right? So if you see, let's say, a Twilight Avenger or a Twilight Golem or a Heretic or maybe a Mounted Avenger, they would grab, or even a Harasser, they would grab your attention more than a Scourger would, you know, shall I say. Sometimes a Scourger might grab your attention, but more than likely it wouldn't because she's not super powerful. But you can never ever underestimate that ability of hers to boost the speed of the allies. They can go charging across the field in a heartbeat. If it's really nerve-wracking if she does it to a Blood Servant, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is the fastest enemy in the game. They have a speed of 2.7. So if she boosts the speed of that thing is hordes of them. They're gonna go flying across the map in a heartbeat and overrun and quickly overwhelm you when you least expect it. And then their attack power goes through the roof. So if she does it to a Twilight Golem, the Golem's not going to have 120 to 180. He's going to have 240 to 360. Or a Twilight Avenger will have 200 to 300 attack damage. And she's known to mess up your defenses big time. Just like a Troll Chieftain would in Kingdom Rush Original. They're a nasty thorn to deal with. She's even worse if you ask me, because not only that, when she dies, the Banshee disables the tower. And I can't tell you how many times I've had lost gameplays all all because I couldn't interact with the tower because of the fact that she disabled it for 10 freaking seconds, which is a lifetime in this game. Because by the way, another thing that makes this game kind of troublesome in my opinion, especially on impossible difficulty, is the speed. The enemy speed goes through the roof on impossible difficulty, and not only that, when you got fast moving enemies to deal with, it really helps to get rid of them quickly. But if you can't get rid of them because the tower is disabled, that's a problem. And because she has that ability to do that, that's what can result in gameplays being messed up and you eventually suffering lives lost. And if it's not a campaign stage or a rogue on iron stage, you could suffer a defeat. So definitely an annoying enemy if you ask me. Can't stand her. Let's see some clips. Here's an example. So I put them on this Durdale outskirts, the heroic stage. I put the enemies to sleep, but when they wake back up, here she is. Yeah, she gives it. You see that blood servant? They're going flying right now because she activated her special ability. I got a Shazam over there, so I can get rid of whatever that is over there. But then you see now we killed the Scourger, right? So you see those Banshees? See, this is bad. I got fast moving blood servants. Boy, oh boy, but look what happened. Oh, folks, I gotta stop the blood servant. But you see what's going on? The towers are disabled. I can't do any damage to anybody. And then I got the Scritcher Bat too, which is another annoying enemy, but I got him just in time before he left the battlefield. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Then here I have to do something that I don't expect to do. I got a Shazam. See, I had to Shazam, but that's not what I wanted because I was hoping the Twilight Goes would join together. But that's an example. That's another thing. She can do that, and because of the fast speed of the enemies as a result of a special ability, you might do something unexpected like Shazamming an enemy that you wouldn't expect to do because of that. So she can take you off guard when she does that. That's why she was 6 on my list. But even worse, I find, is the SATYR HOPLITE at number 5. Hit points 1,000, physical attack damage 25 to 35, physical attack rate every second. Armor is high, 80%. Match resistance none. Speed is fast, 1.5. And they have the obnoxious ability to perpetually summon 3 SATYR cutthroats into combat. And they can even do it while being blocked. So this enemy is a problem because of the combination of it being a highly armored enemy. See, 80% it's reducing physical damage of 80%. So that's you have less towers to your disposal to use in the game to get rid of an armored enemy efficiently. All you have is that mage tower, and yeah, you could say forest keepers, and even you'd argue about the blade singers doing true damage. But I'm just talking about, just setting up towers to efficiently get rid of them. You would ideally want to use mage towers to effectively deal with them. But it's the fact that they have pretty moderately high hit points at 1,000, that high armor, and they consistently keep spawning cutthroats, which are very fast moving enemies. They're very fast, so they can overwhelm you. They create extra work, and they can easily mess up your strategy. Like if you get, let's say you're holding off hordes of enemies, it's bad when you got to hold off a horde of enemies, because in this game the problem is that the trouble in this game is the fast speed of a lot of the enemies. The speed is a huge factor in this game, in my opinion, that makes it tough. So it's bad enough when you got to hold off fast moving enemies, but it's even worse when you've got this annoying nuisance armored SATYR HOPLITE constantly spawning cutthroats that are very fast moving into battle to add extra enemies on the battlefield that you have to now get rid of, and you don't even get bounty for it. And even more annoying is that he can do this while being blocked. I will say there is an efficient way to stop him from being a nuisance is if you tank him near the entrance. Apparently it's a bug, so he can't, when he's tanked, as soon as he enters from the battlefield, if you tank him early enough, even if he bangs the shield to activate his special ability to bring cutthroats into play, they won't appear. So that's a good way to stop him from doing that, as apparently it seems like, I think it's a bug, the cutthroats won't spawn, but still they can really just be frustrating. And this is an enemy, sometimes you look to insta kill him or get rid of him more than, let's say, a Bandersnatch or something like that. That's another troublesome enemy. So he's troublesome and annoying, if you ask me. That's number 5. Let's see some clips of him. So perfect example here. I was doing a one tower only with Brave Bark on Rock Hinge. They brought the house with the hopscotchers, as I call them, SATYR hoplites. They brought a horde of them on Rock Hinge, and here you just see all this extra work that you have to do because they keep spawning all these cutthroats that are fast moving and can just overwhelm you. It's a perfect example of how irritating they are. They just keep spawning them nonstop. So moving right along, number 4 on my list is the OGRE MAGI. Hit points 2500, physical attack damage, physical attack rate is not applicable apparently. Even though he is holding a mace in his hand, he doesn't do any physical attack damage. His ranged attack damage is 48 to 72. And physical ranged attack rate is every 1.6 seconds. Now about his ranged attack, I don't know if it does magic damage or if it does physical damage. I'm assuming physical, but I mean, again, it could be magic because considering, you know, it looks like a magic attack, but I could be wrong. I don't even know. The game never said. Armor none, magic resistance high at 75%. Their speed is medium at 1.0. Yeah, that's pretty fast, you know, for a tanky enemy like that. And then special ability, you know, they're interesting because in combat they do the ranged attack even while in melee. So that's why I said there's no physical attack damage or no physical rate technically, because they don't literally attack you physically. They just use their ranged attack even in combat. And by the way, they're also unique because every time they use their ranged attack, they take a step forward. If they're not engaged in melee combat, every time they use their ranged attack, they keep moving forward and progressing towards the exit. They take a step after every ranged attack. They also have that life link aura, which absorbs 50% damage by their allies received nearby, and they also regenerate 30 hit points per second. Folks, you should have expected to see this enemy on the list because I even asked questions on how is an efficient way to get rid of them. And you know, area damage apparently is an effective way to get rid of them, but typically on the stages they appear on, Blood Quarry and the other stage, Beheader Seat, you wouldn't invest money in artillery towers, which does area damage. You would typically want to use archer towers because they, you know, archers seem more than likely are the better, more efficient way to deal with all the null enemies out there. So, but then you have the way the nature of the archers attack, they attack enemies individually, unless if you had the special ability of the upgrade for that arcane archer to do that massive explosion damage to be effective. Because you see, when with that lifelink aura, he reduces 50% of the damage. But to me, for sure, he's a troublesome enemy and a very annoying one because you can't sit still with him. So you've got to you got to get on him. But then when he does massive damage, so when he kills off your unit, then let's say you got your hero, he just attacks from the outskirts, which is irritating when you're trying to tank an enemy. He's acting as a shock absorber, reducing the damage that you're doing to the other enemies on the battlefield, which is a catch-22 because he receives more damage that way. But it's still frustrating because of that ability that he's reducing the damage. And you know what the game likes to do? They like to make things hard by bringing him in the presence of Ettins, as they do it in Blood Quarry, like the 14th wave, for example, where they brought 4 Ogre Magi's 15 Ettins, and the same thing on Beheader Seat, the 14th wave. They brought 2 Ogre Magi, 12 Ettins on one on that 14th wave on one side. So they like doing that because, you know, they know the nature of the Ettin to regenerate hit points, they reduce the damage because of the darn Ogre Magi special ability. They just are annoying to me. They're troublesome, powerful, and annoying, and then they regenerate hit points per second. So if you don't kill them off, you gotta worry. You gotta cope with 30 hit points per second. That's a lot. That's even the equivalent of a troll breaker from Kingdom Rush. So I can't stand this enemy. I look to get rid of him more than I do any other enemy in the game, even more than an Ettin, as he's like one of the top priority enemies if you ask me. So let's see some clips of him. Yeah, so I'm playing artillery only on heroic stage. I was attempting artillery only for Blood Quarry. So you see here, he's reducing the damage done to the Blood Ogre. It takes forever to get rid of him because he keeps regenerating all those hit points. And since it's only a single Blood Ogre, so he's only receiving half of the damage, but it's still not much to get rid of that enemy. You know what I mean? If it was hordes of enemies I was attacking, that's why Wilbur's a good decision on this stage with him, you know. Then it would be not so bad getting rid of him. But it's still the fact you see right there. It takes forever to get rid of him. I Shazam the heck out of him. That does nothing. It doesn't get rid of him. He's just a problem. He's just a problem. He's just a problem. Very durable, very irritating, constantly regenerates hit points, and he's just hard to stop, hard to kill off. Moving right along to number 3, I chose the Dark Spitter. Hit points 1100, physical attack damage 24 to 36, physical attack rate every second, range attack damage 50 to 72, range attack rate every 2.15 seconds. They possess high armor 80%. Magic resistance none, speed medium 1.0. Special ability, they shoot dark blood, which deals 80 poison damage over 3 seconds. And upon the death, if a unit dies, with the exception of the hero, if the units die from the result of the dark blood, it will animate a shadow spawn. So this enemy for sure is a top 10 enemy. I mean, it's an armored ranged enemy that's able to do poison damage over 3 seconds. So, you know, when you got more than one of these, see, the thing is, on the stages they appear on, like Dwarman Gates, you got 3 exits. That's a problem. So when 3 exits, so that forces you to have to spread out your towers. Also, Tainted Pit, it really helps to have barracks to hold. See, the stage they appear on, you have you think about it, you have a lot of fast moving enemies, right? You got the Shadow Spawn, you have the Devourer that's armored, by the way, you have the Web Spitter, which is annoying, webbing the enemies, you have the Sons of Macklins, which poison enemies, you have the Sword Spiders, you have and then you got the Shadow Champion when you get to Tainted Pit, that's a highly tanky, that can't be insta-killed enemy. So you got all of those fast moving and tanky enemies that you got to deal with, and it really helps to have barracks to hold them. See, but you know what the game will do? They'll bring a tanky enemy like this that's armored, highly armored, and can do that ridiculous ability of spitting that dark blood at your units. They just are a problem. Sometimes they're even worse to me than the Shadow Champion when they appear, because, you know, the Shadow Champion can't insta-kill, except, I mean, of course, the exception is Rexen's Vindicator, but it's the fact that they're slow moving, so for sure they're gonna, by the time other enemies appear, they're gonna be ahead of them because they're more faster than the Dark Spitter. I think he's the slowest of all the enemies that appear on the stages he appears on, so he's gonna be in the back of the pack. So with that being said, if you don't have, let's say, if you're having trouble stopping the speed of the enemies and you use barracks, it helps to use the Blade Singers. But if you use the Blade Singers and you don't have the parry ability, or maybe you do have the parry ability and they don't activate it, the Dark Spitters can drive you crazy because they'll just hack from the outskirts and just you know, they'll do massive damage to them. And if the units die, you got extra shadow spawns, fast moving enemies that are hard, that, you know, it helps to use units to stop them and hold them in place so you can hit them. So this enemy, because of the sake of the speed of other enemies and the fact that they're a ranged enemy with this special ability, and they're highly armored and they're not very easy to get rid of, you know, one-on-one, they're more annoying to me than an Ogre Magi for these reasons. I had to put it up here high on the list because they can cause you a lot of problems. Dwarman Gate is a good example because you got to spread the towers out. So and they appear on all different entrances. And then Tainted Pit, you can't let the enemies bust past the choke point in the middle of the field, otherwise it's a nightmare. So that's why I have it high on the list. It's pretty annoying. So let's see some clips of them. Yeah, so here's an example. I was doing a max gold challenge. He kills off that other hero. Then he's irritating us more. He spits that dark blood, kills off the unit. We have a shadow spawn, an unnecessary enemy we don't need on the battlefield. Another shadow spawn, just irritating. Then here we are. I did a archers only on Dwarman Gates, and here it's just the fact, look at that, they just sit there, hack, they kill off your units fast, and then now you just have to, here's an example. This just kind of shows how tanky they are. They, you know, the 80% armor, they're not easy to get rid of. So I know these aren't like showcasing all the annoyance of them, but this just shows how tanky they are. The last clip kind of showed you how irritating they can be. I gotta Shazam them and get them out the building because they just take a minute to get rid of. So that was number 3 on my list. Number 2 on my list, the Fungus Breeder. Yes, the Fungus Breeder, folks. Hit points 1000, physical attack damage 20 to 40, physical attack rate nobody seems to know, armor none, magic resistance none, speed is medium at 1.0, special ability spawns mushrooms upon death. Yeah, and then they transform boom shrooms into mushrooms and can even do this while being blocked. Very, very annoying, folks. There's a reason why producers made this enemy take away 4 lives from the battle, if they leak the battlefield. I mean, there's a reason. Like, the producers are indirectly telling us something, that this enemy's a problem, and they are right. If you read between the lines, they really are, because, you know, let's break down a pyramid. I've created a little pyramid to show you, this is what you got to go through. So he's the daddy. You got the munchrooms from the lunchrooms as the son, and you got the baby boom shrooms on the playground as the baby. So you got to get through the darn fungus breeder, one, and then when you kill him off, you get 3 munchrooms. And then when you kill the munchrooms off, you get all 3 of them, you get 9 boom shroomers. So this enemy, you have all that work to do to get through I mean, the boom shrooms and the mushrooms are annoying, of course, because they do explosive damage. Both of them do explosive damage and harm the soldiers, but it's annoying when you've got to go, you got to get through all of that. So you got to get him 1,000 hit points out of the building. You got to get 250 from the mushrooms, and then you got to get rid of those nuisance boom shrooms. So for all those reasons, it's just all that extra work that you have to do to get down to get down to the boom shroom format. But the ultimate reason that I find them the most annoying, and if people rage quit because of this enemy, is that if they get near those boom shrooms, they transform them into munchrooms. So irritating. Like, I kid you not, like the stages where they bring like more than one fungus breeder together. Let's say they'll delay on bringing like all the fungus breeders out. They'll maybe bring like 1 out, and then maybe 10 seconds later they'll bring 2 out or something like that. So let's say you kill off, the producers did it they'll do stuff like that for a reason, because they figure you kill off the fungus breeder and then you get munchrooms, and then you kill off the munchrooms, and then they're in boom shroom format. If the other fungus breeders come in presence of them, you got to you have to go back in time and do all that work to get those munchrooms out of munchroom format and back into boom shroom format. So they can just irritate the heck out of you. Never Wonder, but the only reason why I don't think they only appear twice actually on 2 stages, Never Wonder and Unseelie Court. So they're rare. They appear later on in the stages. So your tower should be well fortified to defend against them. But for all those reasons, it's so annoying that you got to go through all that work that you might have put through to kill off those fungus breeders and mushrooms and then eventually try the boom shrooms, but then they come in the picture and then just grow them back up into mushrooms. Just irritating. And then they can do it while being blocked, so you can't even let them get near the boom shrooms, or tank them near the boom shrooms, shall I say. So let's see some clips. So this is actually only one clip. This is a perfect example. This is the 14th wave of Never Wonder. They brought 8 fungus breeders, 4 on both sides. So here you see that when they're in range, you kill off, you put all that hard work. You see that? You saw that? You put in all that hard work, and then they go turn those darn boom shrooms into munchrooms the minute you kill them off. So it's so irritating. You have extra work to go through. You got munchrooms exploding, dealing damage. You got boom shrooms exploding, dealing damage. It's so annoying. Then you got the playground. So now, see, they're near the daddy walks by the baby's playground and blows them back up into munchrooms. So now they're back to their sons now. You see what I mean? So what do you got to do? I got to get them out the photo. So I got to do it right, and I got to Shazam the heck out of the enemies, folks. I got to get them out the photo. But then they're still around, and you still got those darn annoying fungus breeders that are still in the picture because they're still tanky. And then they kill them off. You gotta get rid of those darn fungus breeders before they act a fool. So that's why I had them at number 2. Number 1, as you can already see, it's the Twilight Heretic. Yeah, folks. HP 2250. Physical attack damage 40 to 50, physical attack rate every second, ranged attack damage 60 to 80, ranged attack rate every 1.6 seconds, armor none, magic resistance high is 90%, speed is medium 1.1, ranged ability, a ranged attack is their special ability. The Grip of Darkness is another annoying ability they have. They render 2 units immobile while dealing 135 damage to them. Heroes are immune, and they also do soul consumption, where they insta-kill 3 units and immediately boost the speed of them. By the way, heroes are immune to it. So to me, this enemy I find the most annoying in the game, because I mean, look at it. It's very troublesome too. 2250 hit points. It has a powerful ranged attack. I believe it's magic damage he does. I think so. That's what I think. I think it's magic damage. No, I'm sorry. No. I might say he does massive physical damage. His range damage is even more, 60 to 80. I think it's magic damage, but it could be physical. I don't know. But they are a problem. I know people that even myself included, we've rage quit because of this enemy, because you have powerful barracks out, and they freaking he disables them. If you have forest keepers, you would really be upset, because I don't know how long he disables them for, but when let's say if you get near the exit and he disables them, I believe he can still activate a special ability by the exit, but the fact that they get disabled, and he also deals 135 damage to them. If you have hordes of enemies where he disables them at, they're just gonna walk right on by. They're not going to interact with them and do anything to the disabled units. And then to make things worse, let's say you have blade singers. You got 3 units on the battlefield. If he can soul consume the units, so as a result, if you're using those units to stall, because like as I mentioned, the speed of the enemies in this game is a problem. So it really kind of helps if you have barracks, as it serves as being very advantageous to use in this game to stop troublesome and fast moving enemies. If you got this heretic coming out and he comes over there and insta kills, he's gonna make you really, really angry. He's gonna cause you to rage quit, because the enemies are just gonna blow right by your defenses. It's really bad because, also if you're tanking, let's say a Twilight Golem, which can't be insta-kill with the exception of Rex and special ability, but if you got more than one Twilight Golem and then they bring this enemy behind, it's a problem. It's you're going to be in big trouble with that. So this is an enemy that you sometimes would want to look to get rid of quicker than any other enemy, and for sure I find him very troublesome, very annoying, and just can flat out make you rage quit. Let's see some clips. So this is an example here. I did the heroic stage for Shrine of Ellen. You see how he disabled the units? My mistake. I believe the enemies were still attacking the disabled units. So that's my mistake. But then you see right there, he's soul consumed, and then he flied up. He flied quicker around the block. So I gotta knock him out of the park. That's a good way to get rid of him. So, but that's an example of what I mean about how irritating he is. And then now here I was doing the heroic stage with the dragons only for arcane quarters. He comes in, steals the soul. Now he's flying. He's off to the races. Goes into flying mode. Then so then you tank him, right? You tank him. He's powerful, so he kills off your reinforcements, and then boom, soul consumption, disables the units, goes into flying. So irritating, so irritating. Here's a perfect example right here. You can't insta kill the golems. He's hacking from the outskirts. He's over there disabling the bears. He's over there soul consuming, and we're backed into a corner. How in the world are you gonna get out of this, folks? I gotta hold on for dear life over here. So you know what I gotta do? I gotta stay alive before I get that Shazammer, and you folks, you know what's happening. I gotta Shazam the heck out of all of those enemies and clear the playing field. Yep, and that is an example of why I ranked him at #1 for being the most annoying in the game. He's made me rage quit several times, but once you figure out how to deal with him, then you take the right measures to handle him, then he won't be so bad, but he's still a frustrating enemy to put up with, and that's why I have him at #1. Well, all right, folks, that wraps everything up. That was my top 10 list for Kingdom Rush Origins. Pretty difficult for me to rank the enemies. Again, the factors, there's a lot of enemies with special abilities in game, and the speed of enemies also made it kind of troublesome when it came to me, gauging which enemies were ranked, the most annoying. But, I'm curious to know what your list is. Feel free to dive in that comment section. Let's have a conversation and talk about your troublesome enemies or most annoying enemies in the game of Kingdom Rush Origins. So thank you folks for watching. Stay tuned for more special videos coming your way. Ricky, aka the War Champion. Farewell.